Hello, my loves. Welcome back to another episode of A Quick Pit Stop here on This Life's the Pits. You may be watching this over on the Alchemy Experience, which is our YouTube platform, or over here if you're listening to this on This Life's the Pits podcast. But welcome back. Today's episode is a two-part series. Today, I had the absolute pleasure over the last handful of months to interview dozens of women for a passion project that I am doing that has evolved into programs and just evolution of women that I am working with. It is being brought into what I do in my coaching space and also with the women that we are doing the monthly networking power hours with. So listen in today. You are going to hear from over the next two episodes, you're going to hear from a snippet of some of the women that I have had candid, beautiful conversations with around being a mama in any sort of capacity. So this might be, you have your own kids, or you have your stepmama, or you're a foster mom, or you have adopted kiddos, or any of that combination. And it's just been such a beautiful experience to sit down with moms who also are executive level women, whether they own their own company, they are the CEO of a business, or they are an executive level woman of a company and they are doing it all. They are running the show at home and in the office. And it has just been a absolutely beautiful and remarkable journey in talking to these women. So you're going to hear in today's episode from Katie Kovar, who has been a friend of mine. We are raising our wild kids together. And she is a baddie boss babe, working for a local rec center and is basically running the show. You're also going to hear from Laura Baker, who is a psych NP in the Rochester area. She is remarkable, brilliant. And I met her just through the grapevine and just really enjoying watching her do her thing. She's traveling the world, she's enjoying life with her kids, and she's in a different stage of with adult children. She's really just killing it in all areas, owning her own practice, providing psychiatric outpatient care. You're going to hear from Samantha Green, who is a therapist, a mental health counselor, and she is also has a couple little ones and is also just living the dream, working from home and seeing clients in pockets of time while raising her kiddos. And also, you're going to hear from one of my faves, Marley Ansell. She has been for the past handful of years, I've watched Marley just soar into a remarkable coach. She is a spiritual and transformational coach. She does all the things. She's also a mama of two beautiful girls, and her story is really great. And also, she's just a wealth of knowledge on how to really shift your mindset and become all that you want to become. So, these conversations, these stories are just amazing. And I took away so much from each of them, um, really leaning into a few different things that has were the main takeaways for me. Really understanding that balance is a complete illusion and that we're always working to just be balancing. We're never truly going to have a feel that we have everything together. Some days we're going to feel like we're killing it, and other days we're going to feel like we are the worst mom and just can't get it together. And that's the beauty of this journey of CEO mamas. And so also another piece to this is you're going to hear a lot of them have a tribe or a partner in their life that has been significantly impactful on how they work as a team to really run the show. So that is a huge takeaway. Also, being able to surrender to the version of you that you are so that you can allow yourself to step into this version you're becoming. And lastly, being flexible, that every day is going to be different. Welcome to my podcast. My name is Erin Pitnero, and technically I'm your host. But this space belongs to you. We get real and raw over here. Like, why do we have to adult? Why does it feel so good to curse? The meaning behind sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the adventures behind raising tiny humans, what it's like to write a book, the therapy of working out, the journey behind losing and gaining our faith, and everything in between. These are real stories with real people who've inspired me and healed our world in so many unconventional ways. We all think different, experience different, and even love different. But the more we learn about each other, the more we can heal ourselves and the world around us. So whatever the reason that landed you here today, I hope you stick around. Get ready to laugh, to cry, and to be inspired, because this life's the pits.
Oh, my name is Katie Kovar, but I am the recreation director at Webster Parks and Rec. So I oversee all of our recreation programming, basically our entire recreation center. And then I have an additional facility. So I oversee Challenger Miracle Field, that facility exclusively. So all the rentals go through me, the concession stand I run. I have a recreation staff that reports to me, and then we have a fitness center as well. So I don't directly oversee the fitness department, but essentially because I'm rec, I do.
It all rolls up.
Yeah, it all kind of goes together. So the other half of me is a parks director who oversees grounds, dirt, fields, all that. But essentially we work hand in hand because the people that are using it go through me. And then we both report to the commissioner. And the commissioner reports to the town board and town supervisor.
My God, you're like right at the top. So
It's some days it feels a little bit much.
okay, beautiful. That's a lot, but also awesome.
It is a lot. It's funny, like I figured out quickly once I got into this field that this is what I was meant to do, but I'll let you keep asking your questions because I'm sure I'm kind of I won't pre-answer
Love it.
them.
Go ahead. Yeah, keep talking.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, this is different. My role now is a little bit, it's not as necessarily hands-on. It's a little bit more mental. In the sense that like someone's always at my door. There's always a question to answer, there's always a fire to put out. So it can be very daunting mentally sometimes. Because it's just different. But I love rec. I love what I do.
I love that. Okay. So I didn't prepare anybody for this question, and I'm kind of loving it.
It's okay. I'm just on a Zoom. I'm on a Zoom.
I love this. I love the real life of this. Like, you should have seen me interviewing my friend the other day who owns her own business, and I'm like, close the door. I'll be right there. Stop interrupting. It's real life.
Okay, I'm not alone. Go ahead. What's the question I'm not prepared for?
No, yeah. So what does a leader mean to you?
Jesus.
I know. Everybody has the same reaction. I love it.
That's so hard because I was just thinking about this today, actually, because summer camp's happening right now, right? So we have 4 different camps that we run, and we have 2 different locations for our K-5. So we have like hundreds of kids in our building and all over the place. And we hired this person to kind of help out this year. And some of the counselors, I'm like digressing, but I think being a leader also kind of, it means like treating people almost as an equal and not necessarily as like a feeling like above them. And so it's a fine balance of being able to like connect, but also like delegate and being able to like rein it back in. People here always like, we laugh about like the cut the shit, but like that's my like when I reach my max kind of, it's like, okay, it's time to like cut the shit and get real. Where it's being able to have those kind of realistic conversations And that's what I really adore about my direct supervisor is we're able to have those kind of realistic conversations like today's a bad day or today's a great day. And I need to bounce something off of you, or like this is really hard, or I'm really struggling. And that's kind of the role I'm playing right now with our hundreds of camp kids and our camp counselors and the people that report to me. And so I think being a leader is being real, um, but also feeling like a sounding board for people.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's a blessing and a curse, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah. So, okay. Two more questions, and then of
Mhm.
course add on if there's anything. But what would you say the season of motherhood that you're in?
Oh man, Flax. It's crazy town where we're at. Brace yourself, girl. We're in, so my kids are two very different ages, 12 and 8, boy and girl. Different schools, different lives. So we're in like a season of change. We're prepubescent boy. I didn't have brothers growing up. I didn't have boys around. I have no idea what this, like, how this is, how to like kind of navigate this. It's something like I talk very openly about. Um, we as a family talk very openly about, but we're like in a season of change, I would say. Um, and that's with, I would say, both my son and my daughter. Like, we are now, she's becoming more independent. There's a little bit more of like, I want to do this. Okay, mom, like that I haven't been used to up until this point.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm in like transition point with
Yeah.
our parenting and also two working parents and having like it's summer and we're busy and like all the things. So we're in transition. I keep trying to tell myself like, A, we're not the only people that are like in this point of change and transition and um navigating this new kind of world and like balancing work and all of the things. Like we're not the first to do it. We're not going to be the last. It's different.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it. I
Yeah.
don't,
It's that like middle mama, right? Like you don't have infants anymore and you don't have grown children. It's that like they still need you,
uh-huh.
but it's like they need you not for the
Uh-huh.
basic needs, like Maslow's hierarchy basic needs anymore. They need you like emotionally and the support and the push and the like, nope, yes, you can, but also like, I'm here to catch you when you fall. Like it's a very, yeah, because I'm there too. I have 12 and 8. Same.
Right. And so I've said, like, especially with athletics, and this has been a particularly challenging year of like, I'm trying to balance your emotions too. So like there's emotion that's involved. And then I'm trying to say like it's this balance between like got the shit
Mhm.
and like you got this. Like you got this. I believe in you. Believe in yourself. It's a very, very
Tough.
legit. Yeah, like hormones are real and
Experience.
like, right. And so as moms, especially, like we understand that. And so it's like that is, all of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Mhm.
So last question is, this whole program that I'm creating based on sort of what I'm finding and what I believe and what I'm hearing is that there's this like illusion of balance. Like we're always chasing after, oh, I got to have this work-life balance. And my whole thing is like when you're at work, be at work. When you're with your people, be with your people. And sometimes it's really hard to turn one off or the other, right? Especially when we own our own businesses or when we're an executive level human that everybody answers to us because it rolls uphill, right? Like that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
hard to shut off one area for the other and feeling like guilty or having to sacrifice, right? Like we feel
Yeah.
that. What would you say, for all intents and purposes, is the key to balancing? I like to say that we're balancing. We're not ever going to be balanced, but like, what do you think for you has been the key to balancing that?
Honestly, it's like a little bit of my own attentiveness, but it's being able to people, like it's the organization for me. Like it's like, okay, I still use paper and pencil. I still have like the handwritten calendar at home and like, but like I kind of mentally know where everything is. It settles me down. Like I had a feeling you were gonna ask this question, honestly. And I'm not there yet. Like I'm just not. And you hear my camp kids screaming USA, USA.
Yeah,
Um,
love it though.
they so I come in the door and I feel like sometimes I am still in work mode, right? So like I've been answering questions all day, I've been putting out fires all day. Like I come home and like the questions keep coming and like what are we going to do for X, Y, and Z, and how's everyone going to get everywhere, and who has appointments, and this and the other thing. But for me, it's like it's better if I can just like kind of get through that. Like I feel like if I can kind of keep myself a little bit in work mode, it's easier for me to like be super productive when I get home so I can fully turn off. And
Mm.
like we can now like let's read a book, let's play Uno, let's play catch, or you can go outside, or we can all just sit and chat. I think and also like having a partner who is able to pick up when I can't, like there are days like last night I was just like I am burnt. Like I today was very mentally exhausting. Like I called him on the way home. Like he kind of knew. Like I was like, okay, let's sit on the deck and have a glass of wine. And the kitchen's a complete shit show, and it's fine. You know, right? So it's being able to kind of like it's just like having the kids out. It's being able to like pick the battles and like where is it all? Like is the today the day I'm gonna like worry about everything, or is today the day I'm just not? So, but for me, being organized helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a long-winded non-response response.
No, I love it. I love it. That's huge. We do like a tag in, tag out. There are times where I literally will say, you got to tag in on this. I'm out. Like
Yeah.
or I'm going to kill somebody. Right. Like, and there are
Yeah.
times where I have to be reflective and be like, you're going to kill our children. So go for a walk. I got this. Tag out.
Yeah. That's actually like a great system that we should. For us too, it's like because and like we're both working and it is a very like temperamental age. And so like sometimes you don't even see it coming. Like
Yep.
you're like, I thought we were good. Like, and I'm sure I'm the same way where I'm like, okay, what the hell just happened? Like, but
They're cool because you've hit your max and that's it.
mhm,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So having a partner is big. I've heard that consistently from people too. Is that
yeah.
hard,
So
hard. Well, you're doing it and you're doing it well. And I see you as a leader, and that's why I asked you because I was like scrolling and I don't know, you commented or I saw you in something and I was like, yeah, she's badass. Like I need to get her
wow,
take on this. Like, and I know we don't always feel like it. I get that, but like you are,
no.
and take that for what it's worth for the day. Take that as a win.
Yeah,
But
mom guilt is legit, and like we have a lot of other people that like in my life that feel that same way. And so like being able to tell ourselves like we are doing a good job. And I tell Glenn that all the time. I'm like, we're doing okay. Like it doesn't mean that we should be like floating on a yacht in the middle of the Bahamas, although ideal. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're okay. We're gonna be okay. Our parents went through this, like we'll be fine. We'll get there. Someday we'll be sitting on a yacht in the middle of the Bahamas. But for now, like, you know what I mean? We're two ships passing in the night.
yep,
Analogies to that.
I
Yeah.
love it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for your insight.
You're welcome.
So many of us have grown our own business in whatever capacity and are moms and like literally CEO of the home, CEO of the business and doing all things. What are the similarities? What are the things that we're all doing that is helping? And what are the things that different niches are doing so we can kind of gear that, you know what I mean, and help people gain some tools and insight. So it's just a cool little passion project that I'm doing to help some incoming folks. I have a lot of women reaching out like, oh, I want to build a private practice. I want to do this. And some of it is what are the tools to keep from burning out? What are the tools to balance that illusion of balancing it all? So for you, first and foremost, tell me what you do. What's your role? What's your business or your title or whatever you feel like
I'm
sharing in that
I'm a
regard?
psych NP. I'm actually family NP turned psych NP. So I've been a psych NP since 2001. And in 2020, went back to school and decided to get a postmaster's and become a psych NP. Graduated on 2022 as a psych NP. Decided to open up my own practice. Before that, my background was primary care, a little bit of the ED and addiction, and was doing a lot of mental health before I was a psych NP. Um, Opened up my own practice in September of 2022, which immediately exploded as soon as Excellus put me in Nowhere.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I By March, I had the choice. My therapist said to me, "You need to either learn to say no or expand." I chose to expand. Um, the At one point I had a 7 month waiting list. I and every day the sobbing calls of "Can't you see me sooner?" And like I got to the point where I can't do this anymore. So I just hired someone else to answer the phone primarily. Then I hired another nurse practitioner, and now I have six providers, a biller, an office manager, and a secretary. So, and at the moment, I have a student intern who's been writing policies and procedures and things for me all summer long. So I now employ 9 people.
Oh my gosh.
And we have about
Of
600 patients, and I am in desperate need of another psych NP. But there don't seem to be any out there that actually want a job. And I we have 4 or 5 calls every single day wanting new patients. And our nurse practitioner waiting list now has, last time I looked, which was earlier this week, had 65 people on it. So it doesn't stop. It never stops. It's insanity.
Mhm.
I employ 3 therapists. The most recent one started working full time the beginning of July. Now she's pretty much full now. And I predicted 6 weeks, and that's about what it was. So yeah, we went to
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's like if you build it, they will come, right? Like that is literally
and then you build it and you build it bigger, and then they will come. I moved. My first office was 750 square feet. It was 2 rooms and a waiting room, and it was 2 doors away. And then I started realizing that I needed more space. Um, the bill the suite I'm in right now is actually 2 suites together. It's 2,800 square feet. It's bigger than my house. And the landlord, what it had been empty, he was trying to make a deal, and he's like, "Well, I said this is bigger. I don't need this amount. I'm out of office space now." And we'll be building walls to make more offices very soon. As soon as I find a psych NP, because if you know any psych NPs who want a job, send them my way.
oh my gosh.
So yeah, explosion, rapid growth, trying to figure out flying by the seat of my pants the whole time. Yeah,
Insane. Um, wow. So basically in 2 years or less, you
not
went,
even September 1st. So
holy cow, that's insane.
it is.
So talk about tenacity, right? And constant pivoting, right? So, holy cow. Okay. So, thank you for sharing all that. That's insane. And if I know anybody, I will gladly send them your way.
Yeah,
Where are you located? I think in the Rochester.
Henrietta,
Okay.
2 miles from RIT.
Okay. Beautiful. To you, what does a leader mean to you?
I don't know.
I know I should have I threw you for a loop. I should have texted you a couple questions.
Um, I was terrified to be someone's boss, honestly. Um, I want, I've always said, every single person I've interviewed or hired, I've said the goal here is to create a place where patients feel welcome, cared for, and accepted, and staff feels valued and respected and wants to come to work. So I guess a leader is someone who fosters that.
What season you mentioned your kids, so it's a beautiful segue. What season of motherhood are you in? So how old are your kids?
I
And
have
what
3 kids, a pair of 20-year-olds and an 18-year-old. And one twin is at RIT, but he's currently I live a mile away from my office.
okay.
One twin is the RIT twin is currently on co-op in Pennsylvania,
Oh, wow.
and he's gone for 6 months. So that's a huge deal, given that the boy went to college across the street, so he'd never been away from home. So that's a whole thing, fostering that kid being independent and
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Other twin lives at home and is at Nazareth, doing very well and has like grown tremendously in independence. Younger daughter just graduated high school, is going to Nazareth as well. She's going to live on campus, so there's that.
You're on the, I would call that almost, I don't want to, because motherhood never ends, right? But it's like you're on sort of that almost empty nester almost, but that like
Yeah,
adult children side of life, which, it's interesting because in the spectrum I'm meeting with women that are like still working on family. They have very, very little ones, still getting pregnant. I have the middle of the road of like young kids to teenagers, and I'm in that stage. I have a preteen kiddo and then a younger one. And so it's interesting to see how the similarities and differences on how we still navigate things and what we see as leadership and how we do that. So perfect. So you are really in it, navigating life in still growing a business in some, like you've grown the business, but now you're growing the leadership part of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, her boyfriend who works for me, we were just talking about this because he's working on writing an emergency plan for me about what would happen if I get hit by a bus. And he said that it's still a growing stage, and what I just decided was it was rapid growth. Now I'm trying to get comfortable. Now we're stabilizing and trying to get comfortable in our new shoes.
What do you think the key is to being able to, because there's the way I say things is that balance is an illusion. Like we're never truly balanced. I think we're always balancing, almost like a gymnast. We're like never fully like stopped, right? It's just this like flow. So what do you think the key is to being present at work and present with your kids and being able to leave work at work and leave home at home the best you can? What's the key to doing that for you, or what has been for you?
Yeah, I because I'm solely responsible for a lot of things, and my office is open 7 days a week, so
Wow.
can't like get work. I mean, for the most part, I can, but like things inevitably happen on the weekend. I have gotten a lot better because now I have help. Like initially, I remember my goal initially was to go home before 7 p.m. every day. I was working 12 hours every single day or longer. And now, so for me, it was seeing less patients. I have um tried to block off an hour a day outside of lunch to not see patients so I can do other things, which has enabled me to go home sooner. Placing trust in my employees is a big one, and not trying to do it all myself.
So delegating
Mhm.
has been your key thing, is learning how to delegate and that trusting in yourself that you're delegating the right things to the right people.
And also, my kids can drive now.
That's a huge piece, yeah.
My younger one, she got her license last September. I spent so much of my life planning my work schedule around her. And when did I have to pick her up? When did I have to drive her here, there, and everywhere? And once I didn't have to do that anymore, suddenly I didn't have a reason to leave. Like before, I'd like plan, okay, I gotta go pick up Sarah, whatever. And now suddenly I don't. I'm like, oh wait, I should go home. But that helped a lot fostering. Like I don't think I could have done this. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe not to this extent. Like 5 years ago when my kids needed more of me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah. But it sounds like
they
you
still
really,
need me. But
what's that?
they definitely still need me.
Oh yeah. They always will. Yeah. Yeah. It's it's interesting. Did you have a lot of help at home too? Like in the personal side? Or was it your single
No,
mom?
I mean I have a husband, but my husband works full time as well.
Okay.
I've always been primarily the one to manage everything. The one thing I rarely cook anymore. I don't do any cleaning or laundry or anything. My husband does that. He works from home. And I realized that like the amount of taking care of stuff at home is very much disproportionately his because I can't do everything. And that's really been since I had my practice. I mean, before that I did more stuff at home, but I just the thing that's gotten lost in all of this is my own physical health, and that's the biggest thing I'm trying to focus on at the moment.
Yeah.
More
Okay.
time. So
Yeah. Better. So that hour that you're taking to yourself might actually end up being some self-care stuff, not just eventually, right? That's kind of the goal is to take care of
Maybe.
you. Yeah, that would be good, right? I
mhm.
know. It's hard, right? It's hard to balance that self-care, the home life, there's so much. But yeah, so your main thing is delegating, trusting yourself, those boundaries of being able to say, okay, my husband's got this. I got to trust in him and I'm going to go over here and do what I'm doing.
Yeah, because now that they're older, I don't have to worry about like more tasks of taking care of them as much as I did. The biggest thing is my kids are very active in theater and dance and
Mm.
stuff, especially the youngest one. And I remember a few years ago when I was not working for myself, the stress of being put in a position where I had a boss telling me, you have to do this, you have to see this patient. Meanwhile, my kid is over here, and I'm like, what do I do?
Yep. Now you're the boss. You get to choose.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the beauty for it.
I'm very much looking forward to going on vacation, so that's
Yeah.
something.
Where are you going?
Paris.
You are? Oh
Yep. That's why I have the virtual background.
my.
We're going to Paris in a week, next Friday. We're going to be there before the Olympics are over. We're going to Disneyland Paris and spending 5 nights in Paris. Then taking a train to London, spending one night in London, and then getting on a Disney ship in England and going to Belgium for 3 nights, and then coming home from London. And then my daughter's moving to college the next day.
So are all five of you going?
Yeah,
That is a trip of a lifetime.
yeah. So
Oh my gosh.
very much looking forward to that.
I just did last year, I did a 9-day river cruise on the Danube River and went to 5 different countries and
Beautiful.
was unbelievable. And it's so interesting because I don't think I would have ever considered doing something like that if I worked like in corporate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be like, I can't take that much time off and I can't. And it's like the opportunities and the things that have just come about that our mind
Mhm.
allows us to think of and do because we own our own business and we're like, I'm gonna be able to do what I want to do and I'm gonna work
I don't
hard.
want the place to blow up while I'm gone, but I've been assured it won't.
You'll be fine. Everybody's gonna take care of it. It'll be all good. You're trusting that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, have an amazing time.
Thank you. I
Now
will.
I'm gonna have to follow you and watch your pictures because I'm sure you'll
Yeah.
put.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of funny because like soon I'll have a real picture of like
Oh my God.
Italy's beautiful. We did that 2 years ago when my twins graduated high school. And that was the like bucket list thing for me. And so like we need to, go again because the younger one graduated high school. So that's what we do.
What a life. Good for
Yeah.
you. Good for you. Amazing. So I'm
Yeah.
going to add that to as to my list too of things of like we get other bigger, larger, manifested,
Mhm.
crazy opportunities that we would never think of. So
That's true.
cool. Well, enjoy it. We'll talk. I'll let you know how things are going. Keep me posted if I hear of any NPs or
Yeah.
therapists or
Yeah, definitely. Let me know.
But I
go
feel like it's like day, okay. So I feel like day by day too, it's so different. Like some days I'm like, oh yeah, like I can totally do this. It's like I got everything. And then other days I'm like, what am I doing? I should just go back to like an office. Like I should just tap out. Maybe it'll be easier.
Oh my God, I said those exact words today. 'Cause, by the way, my kids might be barging into my office. So they're home because camp is done now for the summer, right? And so
Yep.
I was working in those pockets of time. And I said to my husband, like, sometimes I wonder if it would just be easier if I go back to a 9 to 5. That's exactly what I said to him today.
Yeah.
And
No,
he's
my husband has got my daughter right now. So like they may be back any moment because it's her birthday. So he took the day off so I could work. So you're my last thing of the day and then I'm done.
so good.
Um,
You can go spend time with them.
Yeah, but that was last week. I was like, I think this is too, like, I was like, maybe I should just go back. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense. You make way more money doing what you're doing. Like, you wouldn't be able to, like, we'd have to put them all in daycare full time. And I was like, oh my God, okay, you're right. Like, and now this week it's fine. And
The ebbs and flows, right? It's so funny. I could talk about it all day, but that's so good because that's really consistent. So I'm glad to hear that too. Like you said it first. I'm like, yes, okay. So this has been a consistent thing.
because
So
when I agreed, I was feeling good. And then, like, I had a couple weeks, I was like, it was like really slow. And I was like panicking because, like, I love my business. Like, I feel like I've got a good business model, but because of it, people do well and they leave. So I work with a lot of moms, pregnant moms specifically. So often, once they're out of the postpartum period, like, they're gone unless they have another baby or something. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Or like they go on maternity leave and sometimes they want to take a couple weeks break, just like right after they give birth. So then I'll just have like everyone will be gone. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what have I done to myself? Like, I should just like do a different business. Um, but then everything's fine. Like, I joined Alma again and like people just come flooding back in. And I'm like, that's right. It's fine. Like, this is just, it's summer and people will go on
yes,
vacation and
yes. Oh my gosh, summer is tends to be a little slower in the therapeutic side, and then like
July is awful. Like, every July, I'm like, what have I done? Everyone's on vacation. We want to go on vacation. Like,
yeah, just
ugh,
take it in stride. Yeah. Yeah, I've learned the ebbs and flows in the last few years of like when it gets heavy and not. Yeah, it's wild.
like
But
such a new, like, it's been 2.5 years of my, like, my business, but I'm like, my God, am I going to get used to this at some point? But I'm like, I think I am. I think I just, I question myself sometimes.
that imposter syndrome, right? So
Yeah.
speaking of that, so I kind of am gathering like who you are and what you do, but in your own words, who are you and what do you do for a living?
So my name's Sam. I'm a therapist. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I've been doing it for, I think, over 5 years now. I just re-got my license like last month. I worked in community clinic. I worked in crisis like before I opened my practice. And then I left like 2.5 years ago to start this right after my son was born for many reasons. That being one of them, my daughter got into UPK. We needed to be able to drive her. There was also a lot of stuff going on at the clinic. I had to take out like an order of protection against a client. So like there was just a lot going on.
Yep.
So I did this. I specialize in perinatal mental health, which I got into when I was pregnant with my daughter while I was in graduate school, because she was high risk. I was high risk. There was no resources. And I was in the midst of graduate school. Like, that's really the only reason I ended up going into it. Because I was like, they just put us in a waiting room for 45 minutes. Like, that can't possibly be normal or good. She's fine. But like, there was a minute where like she might not have been. Um, and so I started doing it even in clinic work. My bosses were awesome. So they would send me everybody that was like postpartum or pregnant or like anything related to it. So then I've just kind of collected other trainings and books and like all kinds of stuff. So even in private practice, like that's my niche. It's not all I have because like people kind of end up flooding in for other reasons, but that's like who I love working with, which again is great. But the business model means that like they go like within a year or so. So it's like I'm always looking for new people, which is daunting. And that's also why I'm like writing a book and writing blogs and I'm trying to do other things to kind of bring it in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's what this is all about too, is how we pivot, right? Like this is what my whole reason for doing this is, like seeing how our brains as this high level, I'm calling it type A, but it's not. I'm not saying that, but it's like I feel like a lot of us are that very structured, like have things aligned, and then it's like, okay, wait, how can I make this better? How can I make this better? And so
Yeah.
um
I don't know if I would describe myself that as that, but like that definitely is like what I do. Cause I'm like, I don't know, I'll figure it out as I go, which like I don't think is everybody's style either. Like I think that's maybe what helped me with private practice is like I wanted to do it. I kind of dove in while I was still working at the clinic. And then I was just like, I can make this work. Like I can do it. And it was like a terrifying moment for me and my husband because we're like, we've got two kids, one of them's a baby. We just bought a home. Like we're like, this is like terrifying. But like it always ends up working out. Like we do figure like I figure it out. Like I make it work. I get more clients. I do something else. Like we're like, we need X amount of money. And I did it. And then we're like, just kidding. We need more. So then I just started seeing more people. Like,
yeah. But that's the beauty too of the private side, is that you can take less, you could take more, you can you can change your schedule. You can, yeah.
While my daughter's at school, so like I get her on the bus, I get her off the bus. My son goes to daycare part-time.
Yeah.
We still need like part-time daycare from like our part-time childcare from our grandparents, like the in-laws, but
It all works. Yeah.
yeah, we figure it
Beautiful.
out.
What is a leader to you?
A leader. I I think a leader, actually, it's funny that you asked that because I feel like for some reason I have this conversation with my husband a lot just because he talks about his work. But like, I feel like it's somebody that can actually get down and actually help the team and not just be above them. So it's like when I worked in a clinic, when we had too many intakes, it's like, we're overloaded. We can't do it. I always liked the bosses that were like, okay, like I'll take one and then I'll just give the second one to, the new person or
Yep.
something. But like being able to actually jump in and help the team out versus just like managing from the top. Like that's not helping. Like
Yeah.
actually be part of the team. Like,
Do the work.
yeah.
Lead by
Like
example.
lead by example. Yeah. Like know what we're talking about. Like actually take input.
I love it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having a supportive partner. I
Yeah.
think that has been every single person that I've talked to so far has been a theme as well.
Like
Having,
I mean, besides just the obvious, like we have insurance through his job and stuff like that. But like it's just too hard to do by yourself because like sometimes I like want to pull my hair out. And then he's like, well, why don't we get a babysitter? I'm like, oh, we'll go out to dinner or something. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta get out of the house. Like I gotta like,
yeah, do some self-care. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Beautiful. Perfect. I love it. Thank you for that. Okay.
yeah.
So this next one, what would you say is the season of motherhood that you're in? I mean, I kind of, you know, gather
Right.
because of your age, the ages, but
Um, still early. Like my daughter's turning 6 today. My son's 2.5. So we're really in the thick of like childhood right now. Like we're past babies. We don't have any more baby stuff. We've gotten rid of the baby gates. Um, we can sleep through the night. We may get woken up at 6 o'clock, but like it's definitely like I don't want to say getting easier because everyone with older kids is like bigger kids, bigger problems. But like I'm not worried about them dying anymore, which is helpful. Like
yeah.
we
Yeah.
get sleeps for the most part. Well, my daughter, but like it is getting a lot easier. My daughter can swim. I don't worry about her. Like
Mhm.
the safety aspect is just tremendous. Like it's just such a load off being like you're not gonna walk and just like kill yourself by walking.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's totally different. Yeah, I would say you're still in that early
It's still early. Like,
but it's
yeah.
that, yeah, you're out of like that stage of fear of, all of
Oh,
that.
is like I just had two nieces born. I just found out my others, like my brother and his wife they're expecting. So like I love the baby phase, but like I am glad to be past it because like I need sleep. Like I do well with sleep and
Yeah, there's some consistency there of being able to. It's
yeah.
it's that, and I've been talking a lot of this with everybody of like that Maslow's hierarchy. That's why I ask like where you're at,
Yes.
because there's that like they need you like when you're like nursing or you're bottle feeding and it's just like every few hours and it's just like their basic needs depend literally on you. Like everything.
Like I started this business, like I started my practice when my son was like 2 or 3 months old. And so like I would be up here, I'd like feed him in between sessions, like breastfeed him in between sessions and hand him back downstairs to whoever was down there.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
do work while he was sleeping. And like that's not what I'm doing anymore. Like that was tough. Like it's not something I recommend to my clients, even though I did it. It
Yep.
was hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
What would you say for you is the secret sauce to balancing it all?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm still figuring it out. Like, I don't think I've got totally nailed it yet. Like, I definitely teeter-totter between like not working enough and then being like, oh my God, like we need more money. And then working too much like I am currently and being like, okay, like, should I scale back? Like, what do I do? Um, I don't know.
Okay.
How do I balance it? I think it really base it around my kid's schedule, quite honestly, which is probably the worst answer ever. But like, it's truly like my daughter's in school most of the time in the summer. Like, I schedule everything around her camps so that way I'm not working too much when everybody's home.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I think that's beautiful, right? Like, because
Yeah.
for you at this stage, that is like you want to be, this is why you did it. This is why you
Yeah.
made,
To
right?
be able to do it. So it's like if I do an evening one, I make sure it's after they've gone to bed. So that way, like it's only one. So that way me and my husband still have time together. But like I do try to make sure that we're around for both of the kids. Cause yeah, like that's why I did it was so that I could be here. Like,
That you can be present. Yeah. It's interesting because I am finding, I do the same thing, pockets of time, that whole thing. And like today, I was like, well, I've got these back-to-back things that I've got a handful of women that I'm interviewing. I'm like, you guys got to figure this out. Like, go outside and play, go upstairs in your rooms. Like, I don't want you watching TV all day, like mess around with each other, whatever. Like, when we're done, we're done, but we can go and do something. But if we can get through today, and then I have a few actual therapy clients tomorrow, I'm like, I'll bring you guys and we'll do something fun on Wednesday, right? Like, we have, so it's that reminder that when I'm here, I'm here. When I'm there, I'm there, and trying to be able to find that like grounded presence, in the moment, which it's
I
hard.
always tell my clients, like it's like my shtick with like every single one. Because when I was in graduate school, I went to UBAR. Like they really like drilled mindfulness into us, and I didn't really get it because I was like, are clients really going to use it this much? And then I realized they weren't doing it for us to teach our clients, like they were doing it for us. Because like working in a clinic, I was like, if I see 10 people back to back, I need to focus and not pay attention to like what's going on in my life. So it's like I still do it now. And then I tell people that exact story to like help them because they're like, well, how do you focus? And I'm like, you have to practice. Like every time your mind wanders, you have to pull it back. Like it's
Yeah.
like you only have like 10 belly breaths in between people. I mean, I don't schedule as much as a clinic, but still, like I can't be thinking about what's going on downstairs
Yeah.
usually, like if I'm actually sitting with somebody.
It's hard. It's hard, but I think you're right. And it's interesting because um I equate it to working out. I tell
Yeah.
people, like
Yeah.
work out consistently and then you stop for a month and then you try to get back into it. It feels kind of hard, right? Like you lose that momentum. It's the same thing when you're doing gratitude and your mindfulness and all of that and then you stop for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not wrong, but
No, sometimes you need it, but like you
gonna
gotta,
take a little bit
yeah.
to get back in. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
beautiful. So it's just really at this stage in your life, you're just really kind of figuring that out, but balancing it for you just means working around your family. And that's
Yeah. It's
beautiful.
I
It's
feel like I'm better at self-care sometimes than others. Like I was better last year than I was this year just because my son wasn't super mobile. Like I could still kind of stuff him in a stroller and go for a run, but like I can't do that this year. So like
yeah,
it's been a lot harder.
yeah, that transitional stage. Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
remember the days. Well, this is perfect. This is other things that you would want to add of like that you haven't said that you feel like just about being a mom and a business owner and
I feel like especially now, especially with younger people, again, this is more because I work with a lot of moms, people like they put off having kids for so long because they're like, oh, I need to get myself going. It's like, you can do it. Like, it's not like it's a little bit harder, but like, I don't know. I see so many women who wait too long because they're trying to get their careers going or doing this and that, and then they can't, which is devastating to watch, or they end up spending gobs of money trying to do fertility treatments. So like, I don't know. I hate for women to like not have families under the assumption that they can never do anything with work. And it's like you could do it. It's just gonna look different, you know?
yeah, this is my whole premise of why I'm doing this, of figuring out
Yeah.
how we can coach other women like that are younger of like not sacrificing one or the other.
Yeah. She said, oh, he was like, do you have advice for like the 25-year-old woman? And I was like, yeah, if you're married and in a stable relationship, like don't wait, just like have kids. Like you'll figure it out. Like you'll do it. Like,
Well, thanks
oh,
for doing this. Have so much fun with your daughter today.
thank
Enjoy.
you.
For the peeps, because I know who you are and I can give a little snippet, but tell us for whoever I like share this with, who are you and what do you do for a living?
I am Marley. I am almost 6 years into my coaching business where I teach and coach online. a lot of entrepreneurs, but mostly women visionaries, people who want to live outside the box of normal societal living. I support them and help them to do the healing work that they need to do to expand into the human that they're meant to be on this earth. And I love it.
Me too. Me too. It's
I'm so
great.
excited.
What does being a leader mean to you?
Oh, embodiment. 100%. Like
A
in
little bit more like, boom, prepare.
yeah. Well, it is a almost daily conversation in our house around leadership. So my husband leads his company. He's very high up in where he works. So we're always having the conversation about leading people and the best way to do that. And then, parenting is nothing but trying to be an embodied leader, But I think one of the most powerful things you can do is just really own yourself and who you are and be in full integrity with what you want to see before you can ever ask anybody around you to follow you in what you're doing. So, embodiment.
I love it. A lot of what your work is too. Like when you start working with somebody, you figure out who they are quickly, and then you, like with human design and things of that nature, you figure that out quickly, and then you like embody what that person needs, especially like one-on-one, I've noticed for me. In working with you, you're like, okay, this is how I have to talk to Erin, right? Like
Oh,
we're
yeah, yeah. And I don't know that that's something I can teach people. I think that's just something I have like innately. Like I feel my people and like what they need and where they're at, and I just kind of allow that to guide me with what they need. I have found out just in like research and learning that it is a widely used technique in therapy or like in NLP to speak at the same rate or like respond in the same energy level as the person in what they're giving you. Um, and I've just always kind of intuitively like followed what people needed.
it's funny because I have gotten really good at that in way of, I mean, when I'm with you, I kind of have my own, like I'm like guard down, right? Because you're like, you're here for me. We're like different. But when I am with clients, I tend to like I'll catch myself like mirroring how they're sitting or how they're or what they might do with their hands, right? They
Yeah.
might like, sit there and be like this, and then I adjust to do that. Like all of a sudden, like, and I'll catch myself once in a while, and I'm like, I am literally sitting exactly how this person said. Like I'll like catch it, and I'm like, yep, that's because I've programmed myself to do that so that
You
which
relax.
I don't think was anything I necessarily learned. I mean, they do teach about that. They do teach in, when you're in school for certain in social work and in certain therapy-esque courses, they do teach how to do that. But like, I think I've always kind of done it.
Yeah. It's neat. Like things you kind of just came in with.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense because we're drawn towards that line of work. We're drawn towards what we're meant to do. We already have that skill, and then it just gets amplified, like you talk about when you move towards it. So
I pay a lot of attention, especially recently, like the things that really make me excited and light me up. And I've noticed it's
like
like things
gardening.
well that like it's just me. Like, I'm reading a book about personality patterns and like survival and how trauma gets set up. And I'm in bed like geeking out. Like I'm so excited about this book. And I'm like, Robert, listen to this. And he's like, cool. Like,
Oh,
I just noticed, like, we gravitate to the things that we love and what we're meant to do.
you know what I'm reading that I've had to like pick up and put down because it's very detailed and it's called Come As You Are. Have you heard of this book?
No, I haven't read it.
So it's very interesting because it's like all about female. Well, there's some male anatomy stuff in there too, but it's like all about female anatomy and how we all have the same parts, but how we look different and how they are actually a mirror image of male parts. But yet, so it's like a very like science of like different female parts, and it goes into like very like detailed what they're used for and like all this
I
stuff.
would probably like learn something. There's like we're not taught.
Yeah, well, I'm like reading it and I'm like, I'm like reading it in bed. I'm like, this is not like a sex book, but it's like really like, this is interesting. Like I'm learning about certain things. This is weird. But then also it just goes into like the energy part about being a female and like how our needs are. It's really interesting.
I love that. That is so real.
I think you would like that one. It's hard for like it's kind of hard for me to get through because it is very like you gotta like really. It's not one of those beach reads. Like it's
Yeah.
not a beach read, Marley. And usually I like Colleen Hoover dark stuff where it's just like it ends with us and like Verity and like so this is very women but different. Like it's different. So I don't know. I feel like I just thought about that with you. I was like, oh, you would probably like that. Geek out on it. Okay, so what is later? Next question. What season of motherhood do you find yourself in?
Oh, the one where I finally accepted and settled into it. I unconsciously fought it so hard, and it wasn't like I wasn't ready. You know what I mean?
Tell the
Like
peeps you are a stepmama.
stepmama, yeah, and my life completely 180, like 180'd in quantum leap so quickly to where like nothing was the same.
Yeah.
Nothing. You know, we moved in together. I sold all of my furniture. Overnight, I'm with the man that I knew I was going to marry. Now I'm a stepmom, two kids, like overnight, you know? And so in my mind, I thought, no problem. I can handle anything. You know, not to mention just a few months before that, I had left my corporate job and went full time into business. So here I'm an entrepreneur in my first year, meet the man of my life, move in together, become a stepmom, all in a matter of like 6 months. You know? Like, and I thought like that because it's everything, you know, it was like everything I could have ever asked for and beyond. Because I honestly never really I had kind of thought like I'm not gonna have kids. You know, like it was just gone. You know, I wasn't like thinking that I was gonna do that. And it was hard emotionally, like really, really hard. Not like it wasn't so much like the kids were hard or being essentially married. That wasn't hard. It was just the sudden life change. And I didn't know how to navigate. And I remember like my mom and his mom both like kind of constantly checking in on me. Like, are you sure you're okay? Like, this is a really huge change. And I just kept thinking, like, yeah, it's no big deal, whatever, you know?
Like I'm good.
Because I mean, because it was like, you know, and I think you know, it's a good question because I think people don't really think about it or talk about it that much. Like I knew Robert was the person and I knew the decision was the right decision. So there wasn't a thought that it would be hard on me because I knew it was the right decision. You know, it was like this, of course, there's no other way. Of course, this is what I'm going to do, you know? And as far as motherhood, I just didn't really know how to play that role. And then coming in as a stepmom, you don't want to overstep boundaries, you know, because not only am I coming into my new family, I'm also developing a relationship with his ex-wife at the same time, you know, and there's all these weird, even though like they were in a good place, they wanted to be divorced, like there's all these stigmas that come. It's like you can feel the society air, like you're not supposed to like her. She's not supposed to like you, but there was no reason for us not to like each other. So I was always like very adamant of like, no, we're going to be good, you know, because we have the same goals here. Like I want these girls happy and healthy. She wants the girls happy and healthy. There's no reason for us to not get along. But the I'm just going to go into the language that I know, like the death of the maiden era, where your single independence is no longer a thing. Like that was really hard for me. And I didn't quite realize it. And I didn't quite realize how hard I was fighting letting it go until I finally did let it go. And then I was able to see that like struggle, you know? So my whole life changed, but I was still trying to operate the same way. Like I was still doing, you know, calls all day. I was still doing calls through dinner time because like when it was just me and I'm just living by myself, it was like I'll eat dinner whenever, like who cares? But now we have dinner at the table. And one of the most shocking things for me and one of the most like deeply healing was that they wanted me there.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those things I didn't know that I had that needed that level of healing. But in my mind, it was like it didn't matter if I was eating dinner with them or not. But like the girls would be like, "Where's Marmar?" And then Robert's like, "I mean, we want you to eat dinner with us." Like, and then it was a weird feeling for me to be needed, be wanted in the room, and not be working constantly all the time.
Yeah.
Because where I was before, it was like work, travel, me, I don't care what I eat for dinner, whatever. Like, and then now there's this family life and it's a whole different thing. And so it took me a couple of years to like really get settled into where I am now. And um once I did, like all things, like you wonder why you thought it so hard,
Mm.
you know? Because once I finally like graduated, because that's what it felt like, graduated into the mother era and really accepting this era of my life, I felt this like grounded power just come online where like it was like I know who I am now more than I've ever known who I am. And the way that is I started to own the way that I wanted these girls to be raised and realizing like I'm raising them just as much as their actual parents are raising them. You know what I mean? I'm doing a disservice if I don't do it fully, like holding back, not wanting to step on toes or whatever. And so I finally just got to this space where I was like, I'm just going to own it. Like, I'm just going to own, all of it. And life just got so much easier once I finally kind of graduated into that. And then it was like this love is the only word I can really come up with. Like this just love just really kind of started blossoming because I allowed myself to be that figure in the girls' lives. And then I started to seeing how much who I am does affect them
Mm.
and the influence that I have. And then I just like really started to own that logistically with work, I started making a lot of changes. Like I sort of just kind of realized like I run my own business. I don't have to be doing calls at night. I don't have to be like pushing through dinner. And so I made a lot of huge, huge changes to the way that I run my business. I used to like run programs all the time, would be live at 8 o'clock at night, like all of those things. And I just started pulling that stuff back and really getting present to what I value now. And I think that's like one of the biggest questions that I would ask anybody that goes through like any kind of big transition, because the things that you used to value, you might still be going after them, not even realizing you don't actually care about that anymore. Just out of habit. Like you might be doing that. And I realized that I was putting so much effort and energy into all of the stuff that I had done before, but it was exhausting me. And it wasn't because it was the wrong thing to do. It was because I'm now in a different stage of life. Like it matters more to me that I have the ability to be present and have time than it does that I get a bunch of shit done today. You know what I mean? Like I still want to get my stuff done, but it was a flip in how I did things. And that's and I've talked with you about before, it's these little like 1 millimeter switches that are going to make everything work better for the season you're in. You know, the way that I had done it before didn't allow that. Like I was just hustle bus. And so when the kids and the husband came in, hustle bus just like couldn't happen anymore. And
Yeah.
it sent me into a tailspin because that's like a death to your identity. And I always say it's like there was a Jenga tower and I just like bulldozed it down and I was like, okay, I'm going to rebuild it differently.
Yeah.
And so that's just what I've done.
That middle mama stage too, where they're like, they don't need you, like that, like Maslow's hierarchy. They don't need you in this, I need to feed them, I need to carry them, I need to rock them. They're in a stage of, and you came past that anyway, but they were little though. They were like what, like 3 and 5 or something?
4 and 5. Yeah. Four and
5?
five.
Yeah.
20
So
months.
yeah, so they were real little but they were already past sort of that baby stage. So you didn't
Yeah.
experience that part, but they still needed you. Like they still depended on you for food, for,
Yeah.
like,
Well, and that's what, like, when I say, like, I started owning the way that I wanted to raise them, like, so being a stepmom, and we could go into a whole tangent with this, so I'll try to, like, Cliff's Notes it. I don't have the same emotional attachment that parents have, like blood parents,
Yeah.
meaning I don't need them to need me. You know what I mean? And so my mentality has always been my job is to prepare them for life. So from day one, 4 and 5, like my thought was we need to prepare them to take care of themselves. Like they need to learn how to do this for themselves. And that was where, like, Robert and I were just talking about this yesterday. Like the first year, I spent a lot of time coping and observing because I didn't know anything about parenting. Like I remember asking Robert, like he he was putting them into bed or they needed to go to bed. And they're crying because they don't want to go to bed.
Yeah.
And I genuinely did not understand why he couldn't let them stay up later. I was like, so what is the thought process behind that? And he's like, well, it's good for them to have consistency and routine. And I was like, oh, like I knew nothing about parenting. But after like a while, what was super clear to me was that it's not going to help them out if we're doing everything for them. And so I wanted, like, this is where the independent part of me was like, okay, here I can teach this. Like, I can teach them how to be independent and take care of themselves. And I can do it in a different way because, like, I don't have that mama bear, like, I need you to need and want me forever. You know what I mean? Like I'm in a totally different mental state about it. And Robert talks a lot about like how helpful that's been for him because it's like I have this objective state,
Yeah.
and it has been awesome because now like yeah, they are fully functional to the point where sometimes they're around other kids and they're like they don't know how to do that. which makes me really proud.
Probably wrap up, but we are never fully balanced. We are always balancing. So what would you say for you is your secret sauce or key to balancing?
Yeah. So I think number one is you got to know your values and the things that matter to you and know that like every day is going to be just like a little bit different, and I've talked about this before, but like my work is important to me and it's always has been. Like I would resent having a family if I had to sacrifice what I do. You know what I mean? And so what I've had to learn is integration of them. Like one of the big things that, because I part of my business is sharing on social. One of the big things I did to integrate is like sharing my life and my family is now part of my business.
Mhm.
So, I just kind of like integrated the things, but like when I was really stressed out, what I noticed that I was in was I was trying to get so much done and feeling like I never had enough time. And I took like a week off of social media, like on purpose. And I just realized how present I wasn't before. And it made me realize that like I was creating that feeling of not enough time for myself because suddenly I could just be present. Suddenly, I mean, and I was still working. I just wasn't posting on social media and all of that, So like I could just be present and I liked the way that felt and I felt in control. And so I realized that like I'm the one who's creating that feeling. And so I just started integrating presence into everything I do. There's not like you left the office and you're done for the day. It's like it's always and forever. And so you've got to create those boundaries for yourself to where you're able to be present in your own life and still do what you love. And so it was more of a let me reassess my values right now and what makes me feel good and what makes me happy. Because like that to-do list doesn't end ever. Like you're never going to check it all off. Okay. So I got to be good with that.
Thank
So
you.
good. I think I love that you're doing this. And I like answering the questions on it too, because it's like, it's stuff that I think about a lot. Like, I think about a lot. I talk about a lot. I think about what other people need to know and learn from it. And then you're always trying to figure out. I mean, I should say this too, like in that time period when I was still trying to operate in the way that I used to, it was so hard. Like it was so hard. And I felt the energy of it. Think about what the priority is you know? So like for me right now, the priority is sustainable, long game. Create more, impact more with doing less.
Mhm.
That's the mentality that I have now, which
Yeah.
allows, which is what I want. I just want to travel the world. That's all I want to do. And I want to take people with me. And like, that's it. Teach the world, travel the world. That's it.
All right, my love. Well, thank you. You're amazing as always.
I
Always.
love that. I love everything you're doing. You're doing it. Don't
Well,
question.
you are
Allow it.
helping me for the ride, girlfriend. So
It's fun.
now you're stuck with me for life. Okay.
I know, and I love it. I love it. And it, 2 years is not that long. And look at how much has like shifted and changed. Holy shit.
Whole new woman. Well, thank
All
you.
right. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Episode was created and edited by yours truly, Erin Pitt. Thank you for being here. And of course, if you feel moved to do so, please share. If you are interested in being a part of my podcast, feel free to reach out to me. Or if you're just looking to tap into my world a little bit more, you can follow me over on all things social as Erin Pitnarrow. Until next time, I believe in you. Now go light the world on fire.